Tonight on NAIT NewsWatch.
Students speak out on how crime on public transit affects them.
It's a little bit more scary during the evenings and after Oilers games and whatnot.
Edmontonians bid farewell to two young police officers who were killed in the line of duty.
Their families worry so much as soon as they go to work until the second they get home. So it's the least I could do is show my respect.
And the festival celebrates the talent and stories of deaf performers across Canada.
Naturally, it's for deaf and hard of hearing people, but we also include people who can hear. We want them to feel part of this as well.
NewsWatch starts now.
Good evening. The 2022 crime statistics have been released, and there is a shocking increase for the crime rates on transit in Edmonton.
That's right, and because of this, some people around the city are starting to feel anxious anywhere they go. Our Tristan Mottershed joins us live from the hallways of NAIT with more on that story.
Thanks, guys. As scary as it is, it's true. Transit crime rates have gone up, and it's affecting everybody in a different way. This rise is also making it hard for people to feel comfortable while riding on trains and buses. And seeing as how NAIT offers U-passes to every student, these crime rates are making it so that some students are avoiding public transit altogether. But how bad is it really getting?
Transit passes make getting somewhere easy and cheap. And one of NAIT's students, Tristan Johnston, takes advantage of this. But like many other students, he's been avoiding public transit altogether lately.
I actually try to avoid, if there's sometimes where, do I feel like going out isn't a necessity. If it sometimes isn't, I know it's a sketchy bus or a sketchy area, I just choose to not even, ride transit.
For students like Tristan who rely on public transit, feeling unsafe is becoming normal in a city looking to make everywhere accessible by trains and buses.
This past year, crime has risen significantly in the Edmonton area. In the 2022 statistics that were released, there was a 17% increase in crime in Edmonton alone. 4% of those crimes were due to public transit. And this means that there's a 50% overall increase in transit crime. Now, of that 4%, 70% of the crimes that were committed were completely random, meaning that the alleged assailant did not know the innocent party.
With crime in transit on the rise, people can't help but have feelings like fear, anxiety, or stress.
It's a little bit more scary during the evenings and after Oilers games and whatnot.
I feel like there's certain time periods where it's safe.
Security at night is the biggest issue among people using the LRT. The head of the transit union has his own thoughts on these rising crimes in transit.
We need more police on the system. We need the beat cop situation restored. We need those cops down there, not just on the caught teams, but on regular beats. It's time to put them back there.
Beat cops were the police officers riding the LRT and keeping an eye on the platforms. Back in 2020, they were taken away for budgeting reasons. The transit union has been pushing to get them back.
The more people you have with you, the better off you're probably going to be, right?
For NAIT, security has no involvement with the LRT platform, but they offer virtual and physical walks for students and staff to get to and from the trains. Even with that, Tristan is still looking over his shoulder.
Those stories of someone getting attacked also makes me feel threatened, like, could I be the next one?
Just a quick update on the transit crime story. At 7 this morning, there was a report of an alleged man carrying a gun on the LRT. Now, a tactical team did respond to this, and they did take the man into custody at the Jubilee station. And although they found no gun at the scene, the man was taken to a hospital to be assessed. It's situations like these that are perfect incentive for Edmonton to add more officers into transit, which they do plan on doing. They plan on hiring 22 more officers, putting their numbers up to 112.
Tristan, do you know how many transit crimes were there this past year?
Yes. In 2021, there was a reported number of 2,167 reported transit crimes that were called in. And in 2022, there were 2,847. And this isn't even including the ones that weren't reported. And the biggest increase that they had found was actually in violent crimes, which had gone up by over 50%, going from 398 calls to 608.
Since NAIT has no authority on the LRT platform, do they find a lot of crime leaking into the trains from NAIT?
According to Eric Toth from NAIT Security, there has been an increased number of crime leaking from the LRT platform onto NAIT campus. So because of COVID, there has been an increased number of train usage. And because of this, they found that there's been a lot more people coming onto campus, especially at night. But he also said that the kind of crime that have been reported have been drug-related and just people trying to find a place to sleep.
Thanks, Tristan. That's Tristan Mottershed reporting live from the hallways of NAIT tonight.
You're watching NAIT NewsWatch.
Earlier this week, the city gathered to honor the lives of 2 young officers who were killed in the line of duty. A formal goodbye for Constables Brett Ryan and Travis Jordan began Monday with a dignified procession starting at the legislature grounds, traveling through downtown to end at Rogers Place. The casket of the 2 officers were accompanied by thousands of officers from across Canada, all marching in unison and solace out of respect for their fallen. Many members of the public also came to pay their respects.
They sacrifice their lives on a daily basis, and I really feel sorry for their families. I want to show my respect.
Emergency service members and military joined the families of Brett Ryan and Travis Jordan for a private regimental funeral service in Rogers Arena later that afternoon. The service was also live streamed on YouTube and can be found there if you wish to pay tribute.
A topic of discussion recently has been about tuition, and last week the University of Alberta students protested to challenge the increasing cost of education.
I think it was the starting point. Students have been extremely frustrated and angry over the past 4 years of having to shoulder all of these cuts.
Last Friday, students gathered outside the University of Alberta to protest a 4th wave of tuition spikes. After several appeals for students to be listened to, the Board of Governors chose to increase both the tuition for domestic and international students once again.
Students are struggling with being able to afford basic cost of living, whether that's paying for rent, taking care of their families, because we do have mature students on our campuses as well. So there are several different pieces that are all being severely impacted by the fact that tuition has gone up, and students are looking for any way possible to try to alleviate some of that burden.
The board has increased tuition just above 5% for both domestic and international students coming this fall. And despite all the opinions against, NAIT has also come out recently to say that they will do the same.
A festival that brings deaf performers from across the country to share their artistic talents is back in Edmonton. The Sound Off Festival shares the stories of deaf artists through the beauty of American Sign Language. This marks the 7th annual year of the Sound Off Festival, a festival dedicated to making theater accessible for both deaf and hearing audiences. The use of new technology such as sound vibration belts mimics the vibrations in sound, making performances enjoyable for those unable to hear music.
It's a chance to see what our deaf artists here in Canada are doing. It's their projects, their different goals, their stories. And it's an opportunity for them to showcase their talents and to showcase the different types of work and projects that they're involved in.
The 6-day event offers a wide variety of live and virtual events for audiences to participate in, and ASL and English interpreters are available for all performances. The festival will conclude on Sunday, April 2nd.
Last week marked the beginning of one of the holiest months on the Muslim calendar, with that being Ramadan. And during the month of Ramadan, Muslims are not to eat or drink from sunrise to sunset. This can pose certain difficulties to students who are trying to focus on classes near the end of the semester.
I usually find the first couple of days hard, but after that it usually gets easy.
With no eating or drinking, including water throughout the day, Muslim students have their focus on other things, which isn't ideal when the semester is coming to an end.
Well, usually I'd have a snack with me, maybe a bag of chips or something, but now that I don't, I'm pretty hungry while studying, which kind of takes away my focus.
Schools give time off for Easter, and they have special celebrations for Pride and Black History Month. But with nearly a quarter of Earth's population being Muslim, we still don't see the same recognition that other groups receive. Coming up after the break, we'll meet with two sisters who both won bronze at the Canada Games.
But before that, we'll find out what to expect for the weather heading into April. Stay tuned.
Coming up in sports, we wrap up the Ooks and Oil Kings hockey seasons, and for the first time this season on NAIT NewsWatch, we're going to cover a squash tournament.
I'm Nora Mohammed from NAIT NewsWatch Weather. It's warm now, but will it stay that way over the weekend? I'll let you know in a few minutes on weather.
Welcome back. You know, I've liked chilling outside with the warm weather we've been having recently.
Me too, and tomorrow is the first day of April, and I personally can't wait for the weather to get even warmer.
Well, I hope Nora isn't telling us an April Fool's joke in weather.
Nate and Mackenzie, this isn't an April Fool's joke. I have some good news for you. We have a mild start to April. It'll be nice and warm this weekend in Edmonton, but April showers may bring flowers, as we expect a 30% chance of rain and snow for Edmonton on Saturday. Other cities, especially Jasper, will be having snow. Let's take a look at the details. First stop on our road trip is Calgary. Saturday is mostly cloudy. Speaking of April showers, 80% chance of afternoon rain. Morning low of -8, afternoon high of 8. Sunday is mostly cloudy with a 70% chance of light snow. Morning low of -2 and afternoon high of 3. Next on our road trip is Jasper. Saturday is mostly cloudy with a 70% chance of snow. Morning low of -4, afternoon high of -5. And Sunday, mostly cloudy, 60% chance of snow. Perfect to go skiing down the mountains. Morning low of -8, afternoon high of 4. Next stop, Fort McMurray. Saturday is mostly cloudy, 60% chance of light snow. Morning low of -3, afternoon high of 2. Sunday is mostly cloudy, 60% chance of flurries. So that would be nice if you like to walk in cooler weather. Morning low of -4, afternoon high of -1. Returning back to Edmonton, Saturday is a mix of sun and clouds, 30% chance of evening rain and snow. Morning low of -4, afternoon high of 7. And Sunday, mix of sun and clouds, 30% chance of morning flurries, which is nice if you like to ride a bicycle. This weather's pretty nice for that. Morning low of -4, afternoon high of 5. Edmonton average high and low, average high of 8, average low of -3. Edmonton's record for high and low is recording at a high of 21 in 1906 and a record low of -25 in 1936. I'm Nora Mohammed with the weather. Have a good weekend.
NewsWatch Weather is brought to you by NR92, the station for the students.
It's time for our question of the week, and we're once again partnered up with the NAIT Nugget to hear your voices and issues that affect you.
That's right, and voicing your thoughts could win you a prize.
This week's question of the week is something students have been talking about all over campus. Have you noticed a change in parking enforcement recently? If so, what are your thoughts on this spring crackdown? You can submit your response to the NAIT Nugget's Instagram page at the NAIT Nugget by leaving a comment on the question of the week post. The Nugget will then pick a random winner for next show.
Time to get into the world of sports, and there's been no shortage of action with the ACAC men's and women's finals that took place over the weekend.
Not only that, but for the first time on this season of NewsWatch, we take a look at a local squash tournament. Our Amran Wahidi has more on that.
Thanks, guys. The NAIT Ooks men's and women's hockey seasons came to a close over the weekend, with both teams facing off against rival school Red Deer Polytechnic in a best-of-5 series to claim the ACAC championship. With high stakes going into Game 3 for both series, all teams came out hungry for the win. After what was a successful regular season for the Ooks women's team, finishing first in the ACAC, all of that came to an end Friday in a heartbreaking 2-1 loss in overtime. Head coach Brendan Jensen has a positive outlook on the loss, though.
It was an outstanding season. To be honest, we were one of the last 2 collegiate female teams to be playing in the country, and so it's an honor and a privilege to be doing that, especially with such a special group. And yeah, I think to just try to take the next step next season. Like, that's always the goal, try to get one better.
The men's team also dropped a 2-1 loss, but after winning a championship last season, the team morale is still high in hopes to getting back to the finals.
They're pretty excited about next year. I think we have a good bunch of guys coming in next year, and we'll be back, and we'll be pretty hungry for that. When you lose, it motivates you maybe more than when you win.
For both the women's and men's teams, they will be eager to suit up their new recruits in hopes of once again reaching the ACAC finals. After a down season for the fans and the organization, the Edmonton Oil Kings held their annual year-end availability on Tuesday to discuss the season.
Our guys have been sent home with the message that they have to have exceptional summers.
The Oil Kings found themselves in last place in the Eastern Conference this season with a record of 10 wins, 54 losses, and 4 overtime losses. After a championship the season prior, the team's focus remains on developing their young talent.
Those young players, I think they took huge steps, and just as a group in general, you know, it's not easy to go through a year where you go through some pretty significant spans with not winning games, but you know, I thought we were able to create a foundation here, especially with those younger players and what that expectation is going to be moving forward.
The team will look to add to their group when they select 3rd overall in the WHL US Priority Draft, and for them, the only direction they can go from here is up. Well, it's time to bring the rackets out as the Edmonton Squash Club and Professional Squash Associations are teaming up to host the 2023 ESC PSA Open. The tournament will feature 15 pro PSA players from around the world, with only one winner taking home $6,000 US. But the ESC hopes that this tournament can create growth for squash in Edmonton.
We're looking to grow. We're looking to get new members here. We're looking in general to get more people playing squash, and we feel the tournament environment and getting the professionals here will help inspire people and grow the sport for sure.
The tournament will be running throughout the weekend, where a winner will be crowned with this title and $6,000 on Sunday. And speaking of squash, 2 Edmonton squash players came home from this year's Winter Games with some new jewelry around their necks. Our Adam Dalkey has more on how these 2 young women are keeping winning in the family.
You wouldn't realize it at first glance, but these 2 teenage girls are more accomplished than most of us will ever be in our entire lives. Sisters Romina and Antonella Rodriguez both came back from the 2023 Canadian Winter Games with bronze medals for squash. It's an important sport for the both of them. Both sisters have been playing for most of their lives, and the game is something of a family tradition.
Since my dad started playing before, we've all just been playing the sport. We love it.
The girls average 2 private lessons a week, play in a league at the Edmonton Squash Club every Tuesday, play in tournaments in Edmonton and Calgary every weekend, and that doesn't even include the training they do on their own. These 2 are looking at the inside of a squash court at least 6 days out of the week, so it's no wonder they've done as well as they have.
Having 1 medalist come out of your gym is already pretty impressive. So if you have 2 coming out, you're going to be pretty proud. Now imagine how proud you'd be if both of those medalists came out of you.
The girls' parents both play the game, but it was their father, Alvaro Rodriguez, who got them into it. A lifelong squash player himself, Alvaro is pretty pleased with what his daughters have achieved.
Oh, we feel great. They were working so hard, and we are trying to support as much as we can to both of them. They're a good sister between both of them, so they like to train a lot, and yeah, the goal was achieved. We are happy for that.
While both girls plan to continue playing, the next Winter Games will be held in 2027. So while Romina, age 13, might be able to go, Antonella, age 17, won't be able to make it, as the age cutoff for the Canada Winter Games is under 19. Adam Dalkey, NewsWatch Sports.
Guys, it really sucked seeing both our teams lose in the finals. I thought they put up a good fight, but do you think they'll make it all the way next season?
I sure hope so. I had a lot of fun attending a few games this season myself.
Yeah, I mean, they made it all the way this year, so who's to say they won't do it again? But that squash tournament, though, that's where the real fun's at. Thanks, Amran.
No problem.
Coming up after the break, we take a look at a cookie company taking a bite out of Canada.
And we celebrate spring break with giant games, drop-in street hockey, and posing for photos in front of a happy wall. But first, our Try This reporter goes to a local art school to learn about pottery.
We blend them up and reuse them, so if anything goes wrong today, it's not a wasted resource, it just goes back through the system.
I'm Becca Warak, and coming up in entertainment, we take a look into the world of rare, unique, and vintage cars. We also look into Antarctica, the film playing in IMAX at the Telus World of Science. All that and more coming up in entertainment.
NewsWatch music provided by Martin Mayer Productions.
Outdoor apparel brought to you by the Don Mazankowski Scholarship Foundation.
Yo, Lil Mac, I know you love Harry Potter, but have you ever tried to make pottery?
You know me well, but no, I have never, and I've always wanted to try it though.
That's what I'm saying. Our Sienna Chernansky gets her hands wet at Viva Clayworks in this week's Try This segment.
Hey guys, today we're at Viva Clayworks and we're going to be learning how to do pottery.
Love is in the air at this pottery shop. Well, maybe not. There's no shirtless man interlacing his hands with mine. But to be honest, shaping clay to form beautiful pieces is harder than it looks. I definitely need some guidance, as I've never attempted to work with clay before.
Now I forgot to mention my rules. Rule number 1 is we're gonna be kind to ourselves, because I make this look easy, and it's hard. It's a trade, I've been doing this for like 8 years now. Today we're gonna make some art, and it's gonna be fine, it's gonna be valid, it's gonna be beautiful.
I love the confidence my instructor has in me, but I very well might just make a worse looking lump of clay, if that's even possible.
So, first step to centering, we call slap centering. So I'm gonna get my wheel going like maybe 10% speed, and I'm gonna use the palm of my hand, and I'm smacking in and down, and I'm hitting it quite hard.
After I smack down my clay, I sealed the edges, suctioning it to the plate. I pushed down the middle and tested to make sure my base was thick enough. Then I pushed into the middle of the clay to make the shape. Once my bowl shape was formed, we did lifts, lifting up the clay to gain some height. After some questionable lifts, we have my perfect bowls. I even got to meet a new friend. I'm Sienna Chernansky, and this week on NAIT NewsWatch, pottery. Kind of.
Coming up in entertainment, we'll be submerged into the icy world of BBC Earth's Antarctica.
Then we'll head to Churchill Square for some family-friendly spring break activities.
But first, we look into Crumbl Cookies and see their first ever Canadian location. Our Becca Warak has more on that.
Thanks, guys. With over 760 locations worldwide, the iconic Crumbl Cookies is making its way from the US to Canada to open its very first Canadian location, and it'll be right here in Edmonton. As of today, the very first Canadian Crumbl Cookies location is open for business. With rotating selection of uniquely flavored cookies, along with their classics, it's no surprise that Crumbl is the fastest growing cookie company in the world.
The company, their mission statement is to bring friends and family together over a box of the best cookies in the world, and it's really easy to get people in line with that and get our whole crew, sort of living that and doing that every day because it's fun. We're making cookies, we're serving cookies to people. It's a pretty good job.
Crumbl Cookies was founded in 2017 by two cousins opening their first location in Utah. Since then, Crumbl's reach has expanded and the cookies have stayed delicious. Coming up on their 1-year anniversary of being open for business, one gallery in Edmonton is taking attendees of all ages back in time to the golden age of automobiles. This is yesterday's auto gallery. Those attending the gallery get a look into the time capsule of the many different vehicles that have been collected over time. From different car engines to view, and a 50s themed diner to grab a bite, to classic Harleys. This gallery is centered around vehicular history.
It's so cool being surrounded around all this history. It's really nice that the owner is
really trying to preserve that history and be able to teach people, especially young people, just kind of what we're missing in the past. I mean, cars like this, they don't look the same.
The next event happening at Yesterday's is for junior mechanics on April 22nd and 29th. More details on how to attend the event or the gallery can be found on yesterdaysautogallery.com. And just like that, spring break is over. The one-week vacation from school marks the end of winter and the start of longer, brighter, and warmer days. To celebrate, a local nonprofit organization sets up a week of free, family-friendly interactive games and activities in Churchill Square to keep kids and parents active and boredom-free. Crumbl Clark has more on this.
The Edmonton Arts Council's Spring on the Square returns this year with table chess, giant Legos, and street hockey, providing the perfect space and opportunity for kids and their parents to get outside and engage with each other.
I often see my children going from their gaming device to the TV to their video games and then back to their gaming device, and it's this weird little circle, and rarely do we ever kind of get to, or not rarely, but it's nice to be able to interrupt the digital engagement. And so this is a perfect activity to interrupt that.
Now, with only one reason for not missing school, children are over the moon to spend the week building, creating, and exploring internationally renowned artist Thomas Dambo's giant happy wall.
I don't like all the homework.
The homework? Parents looking for a place to relax, catch up with old friends, or just to be a part of the downtown hub also enjoy and make the most of events like this one in and around our city.
We've kind of made it difficult for kids to play outside because we've kind of closed off spaces and we're always like, don't talk to strangers, don't do this. But when you've got events like this downtown where it's a mix of people and kids can be exposed to each other and enjoy the fresh air, I think it's just for diversity's sake and also for like participating, getting that fresh air, being outside for their brain.
The sun is out, and if you've always wanted to try giant board games such as Snake and Ladder, checkers, or chess, checkmates, then here's your chance. Spring in the Square starts March 28th to March 31st here at Churchill Square. I'm Crumbl Clark for NAIT NewsWatch.
The Tell Us World of Science is now showing BBC Earth's Antarctica in IMAX 3D. This film gives viewers an up-close and personal look into the vast life that lives in the most extreme continent on our planet.
Come with me on a journey into the unknown.
The movie gives insight into how change in Antarctica can affect us here in some way, while bringing viewers into the life and ecosystems of the icy continent.
It's 98% covered in ice. So we often think of it as, somewhere that's kind of dead and there's not much happening. But the Southern Ocean is so full of life, and this movie allows you to see so much of that.
Tickets to go see BBC Earth's Antarctica are available for purchase through tellusworldofscienceedmonton.ca. So guys, will I be seeing you down at Crumbl to share some cookies with me?
Absolutely. After that little taster you're kind enough to share with me, I am hooked.
Oh, what? I didn't get a taste? That doesn't seem very fair. But at least now I have an excuse to go check it out.
Well, you better. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Becca.
I love ending the show off with our entertainment segment. Always gives me great ideas for the weekend.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of ending things off, sadly our last show of the season will be the Friday following Easter weekend.
Hopefully you don't miss us too much. Take care and good night.